Okay, so in today's topic here, we're continuing on from what we did last day. Okay, where basically all we're doing is taking our multiplication and division to solve equations, but we're given word problems. So what we need to do is translate the questions they give us into an equation, right? And that becomes the hard part. Then we go into solving. So normal kind of questions, like solving ones, will usually be out of 2 marks, and a word question will be out of 3, because I want to check, can you translate the statement that they're given into an equation. So let's read the first question here. It says, Jackal's Warehouse is selling jackets at 30% off the regular price. If the sale price is $34.99, what is the regular price? All right? So let's just translating some of this. All right? They say that $34.99 is 30% less than original price. Okay, that's what they're saying. They're asking, what is this original price? Right? Now, we can solve this question with the information they've given to us, with the numbers exactly the way they have. But if we use the 30% as given, it just takes us a couple extra steps. Right? Whereas if we thought about this question and just figured out some other numbers to work with, we could do it a lot more efficiently. So the issue that I have with this question is that this 30% is not really connected to the $34.99. Right? So if they say 30% off, it's not $34.99 off. We don't know what 30% off is, what that dollar amount is, right? If instead we go, hey, this $34.99 is actually 70% of original price, that makes these two numbers a little better connected. You can connect the 30% to $34.99, but it requires more math, right? Do you see that? Right? So this price that they give us it's just a 70%. Like, so if you're wondering where that 70% from is, well, everything's out of 100. So if this is 30%, this must be 70. The 30 plus 70 is equal to 100. Right? So now, when you see the word of, mathematically that translates into multiplication. So to translate that into a sentence, well, 70% is 0.70 of the original price, we don't know, we'll call that X, is how much you paid, $34.99. Right? And we can put a little statement here if we wanted to, say, let X be original price. Right? So if you're using variables, it's nice to say what the variables stand for. So 70% of the original price, that's 0.7x, is $34.99. So how much is the original price? Is we just need to solve for x. So we need to get rid of that 0.70 in front of the x. And how do we do that? Yes, Theo. Sorry? Divide, yeah. Right now it's being multiplied to the 0.7x. To move it to the other side, we have to do the opposite. So the numbers cancel each other out. This cancels this out. And whatever you do to one side, you need to do to the other. So we have x is equal to $34.99 divided by 0.7. So we grab our calculator and we go, what is that? So we start it up. So we go $34.99 divided by 70%. So the original price is $49.99. Right? So we're talking about money, so we need dollars and cents. So we're going to go to two decimal places. Right? And then do a little statement. The original price of the jacket is $49.99, right? So in this chapter, we're going to do a lot of these kind of questions. So it comes into play lots too, because you go to the store, you go shopping. A lot of the discount things are like this: 25% off or 20% off, and what's the better deal? You gotta figure it out. Okay. So let's go to the next question. All right. So there's only 3 word problems. We're going to tackle these, and they kind of target different kinds of questions. So the next one says the density of an object is given by this formula, right? Where the D stands for density, M stands for mass, and the V stands for the volume. And the mass is measured in grams, and the volume is measured in liters. Okay. What volume does the object occupy? If a 8.58 gram object, so they give us some numbers here. 8.58 gram object. What letter is that referring to in the equation? Yes?
M.
M, that's your mass. So we'll just highlight that. All right. And it has a density of this, 3.3 grams per liter. What would that refer to? What letter? Yes, Theo?
The D.
The D. And when it said what volume, they're asking us to find V. It was their question. So if we use the original equation that they gave you, so that's the good thing about this unit is sometimes you have to come up with the equations, but when we're using more complex topics like density or speed, you'll be given the equation and you just need to plug in numbers. So now we just need to plug in this number that we're using this equation. We said D was 3.3. We said M was 8.58. And then we're left with a V. So we're asked to find V. Right? So that'll give you like 1 to 1.5 marks right there. Yes, Theo?
And the next thing is multiply by V?
Yeah, because the V is in the bottom. We need to solve for V. We need to move it to the top. Right? To move things from the bottom to the top is we simply multiply them across. We can go V on the top, cancels out the V on the bottom. So we're left with 3.3V is equal to 8.58. All right. Now what do we do? Yes, Joey?
You do 3.3 divided by 3. And
Yeah.
then you do 8.58 divided by 3.3.
Yeah. So we got to divide by 3.3 to cancel that 3.3 out. So you're just left with a V on one side. So V is equal to 8.58 divided by 3.3. Since the numbers are decimals here, we don't have to worry about keeping whole fractions, and we just use your calculator. You go 8.8. Oops. Delete 8.8 divided. No, it's not 8.8. Clear. 8.58 divided by 3.3 is 2.6. Now, V stood for volume, and so that is a type of measurement. So that's going to have some units involved. So this number needs to have some units. What would that unit be? Yes, Theo?
It would be liters.
Liters, because they give us that in the question. They say volume is measured in liters, right? So since it's a word question, we can say, give a little statement. The object has a volume of 2.6 liters. Okay. final question here. Spencer spends 30% of his net income on rent, 30% of his net income on food, and if, oh, I think there's a typo here. They're talking about he, then they change the pronoun to she. So if he spends a total of $1,225 per month on rent and food, what is his net monthly income? Okay. They're saying 30% is on rent, 30% is on rent. That means altogether he is spending 60% of income on rent and food. Okay. Right. Which is $1,225. So now this becomes very similar to the very first question. So you give a percentage of something is equal to this, right? Remember, of just means multiply. So turn the percentage into a decimal of his income, so is 1,225. So what is his income? What is X? Right? So just remember, when you see the word of, that translates into multiplication. Right? So just like the first question, I know I'm going to ask you on this one, Levi, because you weren't here. Right? So Levi, so we look at the number in front of the X, so anybody who wasn't here, all right? And we go, hey, what is this number doing to our variable? Is it adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing? What is it doing? If you don't see an operation there, it means it's multiplying, right? There's a number next to the letter. Then you go, what is the opposite of multiplying? What math operation is opposite of multiplying? Is it dividing, adding, or subtracting? Dividing. You go, so you got to do the opposite operation. So unfortunately, some of you guys were away on Friday, so you missed some of that, right? So we do the opposite because when we do the opposite, terms cancel out. And you're just left with the X. Okay? Now, this is an equation. To keep things in balance, we need, whatever we do to one side, we have to do to the other. So if we divide it by 0.6 on one side, you have to divide by 0.6 on the other side. Does that make sense? Okay. So then you pull out your calculator and you say 125 divided by 0.06. Right? 225 divided by 0.6. So his total income is $2,041 and 67 cents. Right? So, little statement. Spencer's net income is $2,041 and 67 cents. Okay, so these word problems are usually just simple equations, but it takes a little while to get used to translating the words into equations. So right now we're going to stop with the notes and have you finish off the day one questions. And I'll come around and help.